Hi everyone, that's Ivan and Lubkov from the Bohemian Rhapsody Club. Yes, and I would like to host the interview. Can you tell me more about yourself?
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Yes, I'm Mary. I'm Mary Setrakian, and I live in New York City. I've been there for, over 30 years. I was born in San Francisco, in California, and went to school in California, but got a master's in Boston at the New England Conservatory. And then it was my dream to go to Broadway, so I moved to New York and started my journey to audition for Broadway shows and study my craft. And what's so crazy for me is that I had this wonderful voice technique, and yet when I got to New York, I wasn't getting those jobs I really wanted. So I just looked for an acting teacher to help me open my emotions connected to my singing, and I found a woman named Susan Batson, who's an amazing, and she's been my mentor for over 30 years, and so my life changed. I got all my Broadway dreams started to come true, and with working on Broadway and touring.
You keep saying Broadway. What sort of Broadway shows? Can you tell me more about the shows that you participated in?
Yes, the first show that was kind of my Broadway, break into that Broadway community was Les Miserables. And
it's very popular. I think it's probably one of the most popular in the whole world.
I think so. I think it's the one almost closest to my heart, just because it is sort of my first big Broadway show. I toured with it for 2 years, and I was what's called a swing at the time, which means I understudied 12 roles, all of the women in the ensemble. But that took me then off to I did Eva Peron and the world tour of Evita, and also Madame Giry and Phantom of the Opera, and then also Hello Dolly on Broadway in the revival of Hello Dolly with the original Hello Dolly, who is Carol Channing. So it's been quite a journey. Yeah,
it's a very impressive list of shows. But do you, as far as I know, you don't focus on the shows themselves. You actually act as a mentor yourself or a teacher. So can you tell me about how did you decide to switch your role?
It's a good question, because to be honest, I never asked to be a teacher. I never asked to be a mentor or a master voice teacher. And what happened in, I guess it was 1998, my mentor, my acting teacher, was working with Nicole Kidman at the time, and she came to me and said, Nicole Kidman has to have an audition with Baz Luhrmann. He's doing a new movie, and it's a musical, and she needs a voice teacher. Would you like to be her voice teacher? So I prepared Nicole Kidman for her audition for Baz Luhrmann for Moulin Rouge. So that was my opening into becoming a teacher. And from there, it was right after I just came back from touring with Phantom of the Opera. And I don't know, it just became something so special for me. And what ended up happening is what I told you when I first came to New York, and I had a beautiful voice, but nobody really cared until I was able to connect my emotional life with my voice. That's what I teach now. I have a process that helps not only actors sing, but also singers act, or even just regular people sing and learn technique, but also learn how to connect your emotions and your true self to your voice. So that's been my journey and my passion these last couple decades.
I'm glad that you found your passion. And I had a question regarding altogether the Broadway industry in New York. It's just simply, I've met friends, I have friends that do operas in Australia, and one of their comments was that it is very, very demanding, because at least in Australia, they have to travel around, not only within Australia, but go to Broadway, to go to America, go to Europe, and did you have to face similar situation yourself? Did you have to travel a lot?
Yes, I was in many tours, all on Hello Dolly, Les Miserables, Evita, traveling, and you do 8 shows a week, and you travel on your day off. So if they're talking about the exhaustion factor of it, and it's quite glamorous, you know, maybe not, but it's something, it's such a passion that you need and want to do it. And you know, in the opera world, they don't quite make you do 8 shows a week, but on Broadway, it's that grueling. So it's this very special kind of person, you know, that really has the passion to do that. Yeah. Was the question also about traveling to get work? Or?
Going for auditions requires travel.
Yeah.
Going for, well, the actual preparations for the shows requires travel, and also earning money by working on actual shows. It's very challenging, and
It's quite.
based on what I've heard, it seems as though a person needs to dedicate their life and needs to have a passion.
Yeah, it really is a dedication, and what they always say is, if you like to do something else, go do that. You know, I know parents who have children who are in this industry, and I don't think they've ever changed their lives, but they really like, do you like something else? That would be very lovely, because it does, it's the one thing that you want to do. I teach a lot in Italy now as well for the last 14 years. And there's not even as many opportunities as there are in the United States. So I know that they travel, actors that I know travel to different countries, or to Brazil or to France, and find their way as well. So yeah, we have friends in common that way.
Yeah. So how do you deal with jet lag?
Yeah, it's such you're a man after my own heart, because boy, jet lag is something, I have a system, you know. Yeah, I have to have certain amount of rest when I land, and I have a very specific diet, and I have to get certain kind of exercise, I do yoga, and so it's really a self-care process. I try not to have a job right away when I land. I need time to, especially coming from New York to Sydney is
So
it's a lot.
How much time do you usually need to recover from that?
Well, I gave myself this time from New York to Brisbane. I landed in Brisbane. I gave myself a good week, and fortunately have a lovely place there that I could be there for the week. But usually for example, when I fly from New York to Rome, because I do that quite a bit, I teach at the Rome Film Academy there, and my own workshops. I worked with a pop rock school as well, so I love all different styles. But when I fly there, I try to have at least like a long weekend, I would say, like 3 days, and then my work is usually 5 to 8 hours in a row without breaks. I mean, my workshops are very intense, really fun, but I have to also make sure I recover after all that. Yeah.
So do you, when you usually work as part of your work, what do you prefer? Working for Broadway shows, musicals? Whether you work for opera or films, which one of them do you like the most?
Well, I do a smattering of all of them. I've worked with film actors, from James Gandolfini and Kate Winslet and John Turturro's movie called Romance and Cigarettes. And then I get called upon by Disney on Broadway. I've worked for some of those Broadway companies like Aida and Lion King and Billy Elliot. I can't really, it's hard to say a favorite. I think it's exciting to work with stars because they have this commitment. They take the risk even when they know they're not maybe a singer first. They will jump in and go. When I was on Broadway with Billy Elliot, I taught some of the boys, and the little boys who played Michael, and they had to dance and they had to sing at the same time. And it was so hard for them to sing with all that dancing because the breathing and everything is really different. So we were choreographing where they were going to take a breath, and suddenly they could sing again. But then I have to admit, I love working with people who just love to sing in the car. And because I think singing and your voice is it's a, I don't know, it's not to sound too woo, but it's sort of a spiritual channel. You know, it's really something about communication and joy. And so, which brings me to what I'm doing on July 9th. I'm going to be at the town hall here in Sydney, and with 800 people, and from the pros we talked about to people who love to sing in the car.
That's exciting.
It really is. There's some. It's very gratifying to help people go to the next level, whatever that may be. I think my job is to help people reach their potential. Whether it's an actor who's never sung before, or a really trained opera singer who's connecting their emotional life to the music, like really truly, not just acting like it. And
I also had now that you mentioned opera. Usually in opera, people have a specific voice type which limit them to a particular roles. And I've met people that, for example, usually they're focused on a particular kind of role, and because and they have to travel around, and sometimes because of the very uniqueness of their voice type, their roles that they can audition for is limited. Is that common in America as well? Is it in the industries altogether? And because from number-wise, that would mean that every single person is limited to a certain percentage of roles. And how does the industry assist such to give enough exposure to all kinds of voices?
Well, what I believe and what I teach is that everybody has what I call a home base of where their voice naturally lives in a style. And there certainly are opera singers. I studied opera first, so that is my home base. But then you can go and explore other styles. On Broadway, we actually have to sing all different styles, from rock and roll to Broadway belting like Liza Minnelli to something more contemporary. And so there are some voices, including mine. I'm going to be singing at the Sydney Opera House on July 28th, and I have such an eclectic stylings in my show, from opera, from Puccini, to rapping, to to musical theater. So to answer your question, though, I think it's very helpful for those who are kind of exploring the Broadway repertoire to be what we call a legit singer. Legit is more on the opera side, making that sound, and then learning how to do the other styles. But that's one of my expertise of teaching that.
Okay.
And we may even touch on that on Tuesday. But as far as opera singers go, that's probably the one category that some, there are many teachers that believe you can, if you sing opera, that's all you can sing, and it's dangerous to sing other things. And I say no, it's not dangerous, because you have to have real technique, which I've only studied from the best classical teachers. And then I found a way to use those techniques and have really healthy singing. No matter if you're in a rock and roll band and screaming, you can have a healthy voice and really move your audience at the same time.
This is stump. Here we go. We want that person on the fourth wall. You're really going to reach. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine. The sun shining. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine. The sun shining. Let the sun shine. Let the
on Broadway, but then you can have a band on the side, or you can be in different groups. So it does help you have more income, you know, more possibilities. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Can you tell me about altogether from all projects that you participated, which ones, particular projects, not styles, which ones you like the most?
As far as my own performing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or teaching, like if you prefer speaking about particular teaching for a particular project, that would be
yeah.
Which one is it?
Well, I have to say each one has such, it helps me grow. I always say whenever I give a voice lesson, it's like I get a lesson too. So, boy, I should have thought in advance about that, because boy, it's a hard one to think of. I think as far as personally my own roles, I think I went from classical singing to belting, and Eva Perón was probably the first role that I really did, which is one of the highest belting roles in all of the repertoire. So I think I feel most proud about that one. And as far as teaching, well, I think, you know, working with James Gandolfini, who's no longer with us, was truly a gift for me, because he didn't know how to sing, and John Turturro wanted him to sing in this movie called Romance and Cigarettes, but he wanted him to lip sync, and as it turned out, the more we worked, I'd be like, James, you just sang a high G. That was really beautiful, and he would be like, well, I'm glad you liked it. I mean, it wasn't like he even had to love it. He just kept going. And by the end of our session times together, John said, wow, I want to have your voice in the movie. So he did. So that was, and the other cute thing about that experience was he wasn't very demonstrative. You know, I don't know if you know him. He was in Sopranos. He was this big guy. And I kept thinking to myself, oh gosh, I hope he's enjoying these lessons, because he came like 3 times a week to work. And I thought, Mary, just relax. He's like your big brother Scott. He's enjoying it. Just, you know, he just doesn't say so. And the last day we were working together, he said, you know, I feel so much better when I leave here. And it was so cute, because I felt like, you know, somebody that connected to his work, and such a brilliant actor, to sing for the first time. I felt very proud. Yeah.
That's really nice to hear when there's a particular any person that had impact on your life, and any the particular shows that you, or movies or films that you worked on that you like. It's really good to hear. Are there so how long are you going to be in Sydney? Australia?
I'll be in Australia until September 10th.
Oh.
And my really big, kind of first big splash is on Tuesday, on July 9th, at the Sydney Town Hall. And you can still get tickets at trybooking.com/BCTE. But it's just it's going to be a thrilling event, because I've taught this kind of course for many, many years, but I've never had in the same room, as we were talking about, the professionals, the actors, the dancers, the singers, and then also the accountants and the nurses and the executives, all from different parts of our world, and all together in one room. And we're going to do all the process. It's interesting, because the pros help the beginners, and the beginners help the pros, and we end with a beautiful song, 3-part harmony all together, which and it's called Let the Sunshine Tour, so you can maybe imagine what the song is, but it's going to be a fun day. So, and then I do some weekend workshops here in Sydney, as well as a 5-day retreat, and I'll be doing that in Melbourne as well as in Brisbane. So we end in Brisbane. Yeah.
That's really exciting.
It's so exciting.
I wanted to ask, do you think that going to those workshops and going to the big event will help a person or an artist to open up his capabilities, or to find potential new works to be to participate in? Will it inspire people?
That's exactly what this night is all about. It's about, because what I love is I don't just say, oh, we're all a cookie cutter group, everybody's the same. I'm looking into everybody's, well, soul really, and to see and diagnosing what they're needing. And what's so cool about this evening is I'm really teaching them what the body already knows, what you already know, and giving them tips and elements of my 10-step program of how to really connect to you, to the authenticity of you and your emotional life and your body and all of it coming together. So it's the mind and the body and the feelings, sensations all in one place. And so yes, it brings each individual to a new level of their potential, of their individual potential. So it's kind of cool too in a group like this because it's individuals, but we're also in a group. So you're also vibing off of the energy of everybody else in the room. So it's a special evening. It's fun. It's finding your own freedom, and then we're going to end with a lot of friends by the end.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear, and I do think that anyone that works in this industry should visit. It's for personal development and not only in the long run, but also in the short while, because that would, by the sounds of it, it would expand the capabilities of a person.
Yeah, and my hope is to bring the professionals to a whole new level, but also those who are singing for the first time. You know, it opens up a communication, like you can now maybe speak to your children in a new way, or have a new way to communicate with your mom or your friends or your loved ones or your boss. You know, and also to have a healthy voice. Mm-hmm. And I give you the tools so that you will have a healthy voice in 3 hours. You know how to have a healthy voice and how to really express yourself for like the rest of your life. So it's crazy that it can happen in one evening, but I've been so blessed by hearing such beautiful comments through the years. So I'm very excited about the 9th. I'm really, truly can't wait.
Yeah. So maybe if I visit,
I hope you can.
I'll be able to act Nicole Kidman or even sing like.
I tell you, I think you're going to sing like Ivan, but the best that Ivan can be. That's what I want. Not to sound like Nicole, like sound like you.
Yes.
But she does sound pretty great, right?
Yes. I'm looking forward to the show.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you there. Thank you.